Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of The Mind Behind right here on Love Wrestling. Spencer Love, thanking you for tuning in, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on YouTube, whether we're being torrented somewhere, some random shit like that I can't even begin to describe the technology behind. Of course, before we get started with our guest today, who I am super excited to introduce all of you guys to, got to give a huge shout out to RK Athletics. Of course, if you're on Facebook, Twitch, or Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, there's too many social media platforms out there. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, feel free to give them a follow at RK Athletics 1. And if you're in the Edmonton area, make sure you take advantage of the ability to get in some one-on-one personal training. I've got the opportunity for some one-on-one time with a rising star in the broadcasting world, somebody who's been doing some great work, not only throughout the pandemic, but really ramping that up over the last little bit. It's Samira. Hello. How are you doing today, friend? Thanks for joining me.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm glad to have you. We only even officially spoke face to face, or I guess voice to voice over the phone a couple of days ago. But it's been really cool to sort of watch the upswing of Samira, I suppose, because not only have you been in content creation over the past 4 or 5 years, but you've really been stepping it up on the interview game, both on your YouTube channel and getting more involved with Camp Leapfrog. So super excited to have you on the show for both those things, especially as the reason we like to promote on Love Wrestling, promote great people and great people doing great things in professional wrestling. And of course, if you guys are in the comments section, throw your questions, comments. If there are any concerns, they're all going to be on my end of things, I'm certain. But feel free. We've got one of the brightest minds in wrestling journalism here for about the next 25 minutes. We run overtime, so let's just start accounting for that. JPJ, it is great to see you. Pluggo, what's good? I've got another edition of The Mind Behind and another great guest. And Astrid, thank you for joining us on Twitch as well. Samira, it's a very generic question, and I know it's one that, as a journalist, I'm sure you almost dread hearing when you listen to interviews for research. But how did you get your start in professional wrestling content creation? Because I'm sure you were a fan prior. I'm sure you kept up to date. But what inspired you to take the jump into saying, I'm going to start talking about this, singing about this, and everything in between online?
So I've been a fan of professional wrestling since I was 7 years old. And, my family had always been into it, well, my uncle and stuff. So I started watching then, and then I started creating content when, I created my Twitter account. I think that's when I got more involved in the wrestling community. And, you would tweet when shows are going on. But then I started creating content when I was in high school, I would say, just here random videos here and there that some I've taken down over the years because they were questionable. But I got into interviewing then in 2018 when I started working with the wrestling news website, and it's Samira was born.
Now, I do always have to ask, because I know if the Canadian Goose is tuned in, he's going to ask eventually. But everybody drawn to the journalism end, I'm sure, has been asked this before. Was there ever the desire to become Samira the wrestler rather than Samira the journalist or Samira the interviewer? Or I guess, is there maybe still that desire?
I always say, I'd always love to try it once. I don't know if I could take the pain like they do, but I don't know. I just once, maybe try it once and see what happens.
Do the proverbial spot, for lack of a better way to put it. I hate using the inside terms, because much like yourself, I've never stepped in the ring, and I can guarantee much more than you can. I will never do it, because if you think you can't take the pain, I know that I can't take the pain. The first video, and maybe you'll have to give me some journalistic insight, I guess, and maybe some of the other ones. But the first video I found of you was you covering Randy Orton's "Burn in My Light." Was it
Oh my
what
God.
was it that drew you to that? What was it that got you wanting to sing wrestling themes and give them back sort of that way? Because realistically, it's not many people who are doing stuff like that. I thought it was super unique.
Oh my God, this is the first time somebody's actually asking me about that. So in high school, when I was in school, I used to be in choir and I loved to sing. So you get to sing and you're in wrestling and you just kind of want to do it. And I was a big fan of Randy Orton growing up, still am a very big fan. So I decided to sing his. His was that song is iconic. That theme song is very iconic. So I thought, you know what? Why not? I left it up on
Why
the
not?
channel. I thought it was not bad. I'd love to, probably redo it. I don't sing as much really anymore. Like I sing my former high school choir director, he has a group during the summer, so I only sing then. But that's an interesting video you came across.
Well, you had a couple up there, so I have to, of course, ask again then, like, are there maybe any plans to continue covering, get back into it, or maybe is there one that you would particularly want to do?
Oh, maybe, I'll bring it back. I thought about bringing it back to the channel for some time now, or even adding it on TikTok or something. But if I were to bring it back, I don't know whose theme song I would love to do. I don't know. I mean, Chris Jericho's is iconic. I know
Oh,
for me,
yeah.
I can't wait to go to an AEW show and just scream the lyrics. So maybe it could be that one.
That's a very fair call. How cool has it been for you? Obviously, it's probably a little different than getting out to an AEW event or one of the big arena shows that people are doing. But like I mentioned, you're getting more involved with Camp Leapfrog, doing more backstage and more like in wrestling broadcast work, for lack of a better way to put it. So even just getting back to shows, how cool has that been from the fan perspective?
It's so different from the fan perspective because then you get to actually hang with all the talent and you're part of the show and making it together. It's been so amazing getting to do that. And we just actually had a show 2 days ago, Abby Jane's 21st, which was so much fun. I got to do interviews for them and put it on my Twitter. And it was just so much fun. I love working with everybody. Everybody's always like so nice and just it's a great environment to be around. And I just have like the best time there.
How do you find yourself maybe preparing differently for your backstage and again your like in wrestling interviews versus the interviews you're doing for your YouTube channel? I know that like the character aspects and that sort of stuff would vary differently, but how do you prepare from an interviewer's perspective?
So the difference between doing it with the promotion versus online and the promotion, depends how they set it up. You get a list of probably the possibilities of who you're going to interview and what they're going to want to talk about. So you want to think of like questions that you could ask them, or you run through the promo that they're going to say and you guys figure out together, try to make it fit. And you got to work on your facial expressions because obviously you're a character and you got to look the part, you got to look good, your facial expressions standing up straight, anything like how you're holding your microphone, everything's like important in that aspect, and like how you have a character there because how I feel it is like virtually, like how I was doing it virtually or any other interview, it's different. Like you're just like kind of asking questions and you don't really have a character or anything. I mean, you kind of do, but you're like yourself, but
Yeah.
it's different. You research your wrestler or whoever you're interviewing, and you're getting the questions, and it's your own. But for wrestling promotion, it's different. You're doing to build the talent more.
I was going to say, like, it'd be very different if this was a wrestling interview and giving, like, the wildly big facial expressions and all of that sort of stuff. I'm going to move on, but got to give a quick shout because I told you he'd be watching. A big honk honk to the real Canadian Goose. Good to see you. And Astrid, I completely agree with you. Randy, or both of Randy's themes have been fantastic, but I got a soft spot for Burning My Light, too. Why do you think I would be asking a question like that? Because hopefully one of these days it doesn't turn into somebody asking me about my singing, because that, my friend, is yikes. What inspired you to go to school for your broadcasting and communications degree?
So when I started at community college first, and I was a general studies major. Basically, I wasn't sure what I was going to school for. I knew, let me just take my basic courses out of the way and maybe I'll know down the line what I want to do. And actually I had like a communication course, public speaking course my first semester, which I really enjoyed. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then once I got approached by this wrestling news website, then like about a year later, I realized how much I liked it. And I was like, okay, I really want to do this. I like communication. I loved, always a social butterfly. I love talking to people and just doing all that. So then when I transferred to then a 4-year university so I can get my bachelor's, before I left my 2-year, I then declared that I was a communication major. And then when I got to the 4-year, I had to pick concentrations. And we all know broadcast journalism is a very, tough job to get into.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't just do that. Like I wanted to, but you have to have something else. So I picked up public relations along with it and graduated with the both of them. And it's just been amazing. Like I love it. It's just, like I said, I'm a social butterfly. I love talking. I love getting to know people, their story and stuff like that. So it was just perfect.
Even just on the PR end, and like it's definitely a selfish question because I also took some PR courses in that. How important has it been for you in getting your brand out there, and now that you're working for people like Camp Leapfrog, getting their brand out there?
It's very important how you want to like come off onto your to who you want to come off to, like your what's the word? I could like your not your consumer, but the people that your targeted audience. That's what it is. It's important who you want to go out to and what to do specifically for them and how you want to look in their eyes, like what you want them to see. So it's very important for to have stuff like that.
How much did it start to change? You were doing interviews prior to getting into your degree. If that's my timeline's mentally lining up, and I'm bad at math, so if it's wrong, it ain't gonna be the last time. But how much did that start to change your interviews prior to and then after completing your degree?
It definitely changed a lot because going into when I started interviews, obviously I didn't know so much. I did know some things, but not a lot. But then as I went in school and learned more about, I like changed up stuff, got better equipment, like knew what to do and what to look for specifically, like how to project my voice, enunciation, like stuff like that, and to pronounce your consonants. Those are very
I'm
important.
gonna say, don't pop your peas.
Oh my gosh. And then it also helped that I was in school choir for so many years because I already knew like the
Oh,
diction,
cool.
the enunciation. So it's like that helped like go into the broadcasting world. That helped me. And and like I was just saying, the equipment, you have to have everything perfect. And I felt definitely school did help me with that as well as researching other broadcasters.
Very cool to hear. Of course, I do want to pivot because you've got a lot of great interviews. I've got to ask about a couple of them for sure. Starting with the first few that you were doing, like at least the first few I could find on your YouTube channel that you'd kept up. You're looking at like Demon Bunny and Noelle Foley and that sort of stuff. Is it surreal for you that, at least what I'm assuming was super early in your interviewing career, that you're getting to chat with some people who even then were some fairly big names?
Oh my gosh. So that was a surreal moment for me getting to interview at WrestleCon because that was technically the first time on my own, like a separate
Cool.
entity of doing something because I was, like I said, I was originally with the Wrestling News website where I started. So my first ever technical interview was with Kelly. It was really cool. It was over the phone.
I
But
was gonna say, like, really jumping in with both feet, though, hey?
it was so, but she was really cool, like very nice. And then I ended up meeting her like I think a month or two after the our interview on the phone. So it was like really cool. But getting to do that then on my own, and then for WrestleCon to give me the clearance to say, okay, yeah, you could do interviews, that was like insane. And then at that same time, I interviewed Melina at WrestleCon, and I've watched Melina for years. And then getting to interview her, and she was like the sweetest person ever. It's like so cool getting to know these people also at the same time after you've watched them or seen them on social
Yeah.
media and just their matches or anything. It was so amazing.
How surreal is it then? And I keep using that word, so I'll try and change it up for my next question. But like, how surreal is it to see her coming back? She's been on a tear, obviously, facing off with Deonna Purrazzo this month.
I'm very excited to see Melina back in action. I know she was doing some stuff before, and I'm just so excited to see her. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to like finally see her after like I think 2 years. Oh my, like I can't wait to give her like a big hug and just like see her. And like she's gonna kill it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you look at Empower as a whole, I know you're going. So obviously, again, there's the fan excitement on that end of things. But even just having an event like this, it's obviously pretty prominent on the independents that they're having all female and all female identifying shows at this point. But like it's really been since Evolution that there's been something to this scale. So how important do you think it is on a representation end? And then just how cool is it going to be for you to go?
It's very important to promote your women's wrestling because I know sometimes it's not the best, and like women's wrestling does matter, and for us to have
Absolutely.
something like this where you're doing cross promotions and they're all coming together for this one event is just so amazing. And I'm so glad that I get to be a part of this in some way, being there as a fan and doing like interviews at the same time. Like that's like so amazing. And I hope like more comes from this because we don't get too much of this. And I hope this just sets like the tone for everybody else that this is something that they should be doing.
I completely agree. And, you can make the comparison with wrestlers, and at least there's been, some push over the last little bit on that end. You look at the Ring of Honor women's tournament, but at least, again, from an outsider's perspective on it, it's really been like a surge or a push forward on female journalism's end. So maybe who were some of the influences that you looked up to when you were starting off? And then who are some of your influences you look to now?
Definitely Renee Young was one because she was just coming when I started watching more of like when I got so obsessed with it when I was in like middle school, high school, like Renee Young was there and she did amazing job. Alicia
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Alicia's a friend of mine and she's killing it. And I hope like more for her because she's like amazing. And oh my gosh, who else? There's like so many people I could think of. And who inspires me now? Again, Alicia, still she inspires me. Ella J, my best friend, she's killing it like with her podcast and everything that she's doing. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of who else. I know I'm probably missing some of the people. Sam Laterna. Oh my gosh, she's been so amazing to me and helping me with all my stuff on the indie scene now, and I can't thank her enough. Like, there's just so many people that I could just call out right here, but they're just all amazing, and I'm just so happy. There's more of us. There's a lot of more female journalism now.
I was going to say it's a very good problem to have that there are this many individuals that you can name, right? And, you sort of touched on it there. So I'm sorry if I'm asking you a repeat answer, but like we had Sam on the show a couple of weeks ago, and obviously you can speak to her credentials as a person and as a professional wrestling journalist. But again, maybe just speak to the experience you've had with her with Camp Leapfrog and then maybe outside of professional wrestling as well.
I'm sorry, what was the question? It cut out a little bit.
Sorry about that. Just a little bit on Sam Laterna. Obviously, you see what she's doing with Camp Leapfrog, everything beyond on that end. So maybe just expand a little bit on how she's influenced you.
Sam is, oh my God, she's a great person and a great journalist. I remember I actually DM'd her a couple months ago. I had been thinking about getting into ring announcing for a little bit now, trying to expand, my horizons on stuff. And I asked her, for some help, like her advice, feedback. I sent her something, and she had been helping me, and she actually got me into Camp Leapfrog with them, introduced me to people and what we could do in order to work together. And she continues to help me, give me feedback, advice, anything I needed. She's just a great person to be around, and she's always on top of her game and everything. And she's the sweetest person ever. Like, I'm so happy to have like met her, and she is just so great. Sam, if you're watching, I love you.
Well, the feeling's mutual, man. She's an absolutely fantastic person, an absolutely fantastic influence. Couldn't have put it any better. Girl power on Astrid's end. And then the Canadian Goose, if you ever wanted to don the tights and compete. Goose, I thought you might have been tuned in a little earlier, so I thought I was getting ahead of the game. So again, it might be a bit of a callback, as they call it in the entertainment industry. We'll gloss it over. But when are we going to see you inside the ring?
Oh, I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it'll happen. Maybe, I'm down to try once, but that's probably about it. I don't know if I could handle the pain. I probably, like, if anything were to ever have it, backstage, I could, like, hit somebody just a slap for show or something. I don't know if I could be able to do everything they do. Because they do it well. I don't think I could do that.
Now, it's a fairly generic question again, but when you've got the opportunity to have someone like you on the show who's chatted with a lot of great current independent pro wrestlers, who, in your opinion, are maybe some of the names that people should be keeping an eye on or pay attention to in the near future here?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my God. There's so many, especially with, new people I've like worked with and stuff. And I just want to see them all succeed, to be honest, because they're all amazing. Definitely main event. They are doing some great stuff and they're killing it. Who else? Oh my God, there's just so many that come to mind, and I would just want to say all their names because you should look out for everybody. But yeah, main event is one. They're a great tag team. Camp Athletic Commission. I don't think they're a team outside of Camp Leapfrog, but it's Skiff and Ethan Wild and Johnny Moran. They're all great. I love doing stuff with them. A very good professional wrestler, Big Dan. There's just so many people I could name, but that's just some of them.
You know, it's so cliche of me to end this with, but like professional wrestling, whether you're looking at sort of, again, the proverbial major leagues or right down to the independents, it really, in my mind, hasn't been better. Not only on the pro wrestling end, but on the journalism end, and especially because we've got people like you in it, my friends. So one thing I do always like closing the show out, and you've been very generous in shouting some people out throughout this, but I always like closing this out because it's a positive way to do so. Who's maybe somebody that has been a big influence on you personally, professionally, whether in pro wrestling or not, that you just like to give a shout out to close the show out?
Ooh. I would say the biggest, it just personally is like my mom and my grandmother. Just, just as a person who, like, just helped me in so many ways and just made me the woman I am today for being like so strong and everything.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it because I could vouch the same for mine. Mama Love's got a good place in my heart. I'm glad to hear the same for you as well, friend. Samira, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show. I can't wait to do it again. And let me tell you, it'll probably be sooner rather than later with all the cool shit you've got coming up. And if people want to keep track of that outside of your regular, I'm hoping, knock on wood, upcoming appearances on Love Wrestling's Mind Behind, how can they do so? Where can they keep track of you on social media, on IWTV, or anywhere in between?
So you will find me on youtube.com/it's Samira. Everybody always forgets the it's because they think it's like just Samira. And if you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at it's Samira. But if you want like kind of like links to everything to help, it's like a link tree / it's Samira. I know like link tree.
I just got introduced to those and it's like, honestly, Samira, I feel like I'm just like watching myself age because I looked at that and I'm like, what? How do I do this?
It's a game changer. My shoot job, I think they're just starting to learn it, so I gotta set that up for them. And they're like, "Oh, we're just starting to get into that." I was like, "Oh yeah, I can put that up for you."
But that's the stuff that you put on the resume and you take in when you're asking for a raise at the end of the year. I helped you set up all of your social media coordinator. Again, you can dress pretty well anything up if you need to, right? Seriously, though, it is appreciated as all hell, friends. It is always nice when I get to say I've got a current star and a rising star of the independent scene out there, but Samira is certainly both. I would highly recommend checking out her current interviews and following her on social media to stay up to date with the latest and greatest she's got going on, because I can guarantee it will be great. You can take that to the bank. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. And if you guys are tuned in on Facebook or YouTube, you're going to hear the music here in a couple of seconds. But if you're tuned in on Twitch, as always, we're going to keep the party going. We're going to go and watch some professional wrestling with a good friend of the show, Big Ben Ortman, a great individual out of the Ontarian professional wrestling scene. He's watching some Ring of Honor. They've got a great product. He's a great individual. And this was a great time with someone I consider an excellent individual in the professional wrestling scene. Samira, I can't say it enough, friend. Thank you again. It's appreciated as hell.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Friends, stay up to date with the latest and greatest on Love Wrestling, wherever video is played or audio is listened to at Love Wrestling CA. Give me a follow on Twitter at SpennyLove, and I'll see you on the other side of the raid on Twitch. For Facebook and YouTube, we're out.